Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Pedal Shift Project. The Pedal Shift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments on bicycle travel adventures. From tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride, let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are available at pedalshift.net/356, and you can email the show at pedalshift@pedalshift.net or text me at 202-930-1109 and check Pedal Shift out on all the socials as well. Hello everybody and welcome to the 356th edition of the Pedal Shift Project. My name's Tim Mooney. Thanks so much for joining. On this edition, the Space Coast Loop, Part 4, the thrilling conclusion. And boy, you want your drama, kids. We got some drama in this one. Before we jump into Part 4 of the Space Coast Loop, a little bit of housekeeping here, a little bit of programming notes. One thing that I want to mention is, of course, we're going to have the wrap-up edition where we're going to have takeaways coming up next episode. But I also want to give a little bit of a shout-out to an upcoming episode, which, of course, is going to be yet another follow-up on the e-bike situation. One thing that I do want to make sure that you all know about before we jump into that, which is it's a few weeks off. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. But Biking Brian did what he promised to do, which is to put out a video about his e-bike build, and it is really thorough and really good. I would recommend you check it out on his YouTube channel, and well, hopefully you're already following him and you already saw it. But if you haven't and you're new and you want to check it out, I really recommend it. It is excellent, very informative for those of us who are considering maybe building a bike, maybe, kind of, sort of. Let's just jump right back into our adventures in Florida here. The final day of the Space Coast Loop was supposed to be the easiest. A familiar route, a familiar destination, with maybe a quirk at the end. But would my luck avoiding mechanicals finally run out? And would making a route change on the fly in the middle of the ride end up putting me, in the middle of an interstate highway? Good morning from St. Cloud, Florida. I think I'm going to open up this window here. You might be able to hear some happy birds. It's kind of a nice little soundscape. In the backyard there, on the other side of the fence line, there's a farm, literally a farm here. And last night there were cows and ducks all just kind of chilling out, and it was kind of fun. It's been kind of the theme of this trip, seeing a lot of agricultural animals, seeing a lot of birds, a lot of interesting stuff. It's been really fun. This morning, I am going to be getting my stuff together here. I am probably going to eat a early breakfast of stuff that I have left over, because starting about now, I am going to be, you'll have to excuse me because I need to turn off the air conditioning for whatever reason. The air conditioning is on. There we go. We do not need air conditioning this morning. I am intent on kind of not leaving here with too much stuff. So I have a little bit of a sandwich. I've got Coke. I will not be drinking my leftover cheap wine. I may bring that with me. Why not? And it's just basically leftovers from the last couple of days. So that'll be this morning. I am also preparing to call an audible. My route, as I was describing to one of the hosts here, is a bit of a looping route that, frankly, is not terribly necessary. It's just extra miles for miles' sake in some ways. There is a more direct route that actually includes a trail that I did not know existed in this part of the state. So I think I'm going to try that. Now, what are the consequences of that? I think it's lower mileage, which, fine, whatever. But I would like to see that trail. So that's kind of a nice trade-off there. The other thing, though, is that I'll be riding on US 192 for a large chunk of this time. The good news is it has a robust sidewalk, very, very wide. And I've ridden it before, I believe in my first trip when I did the full, coast to coast Tampa Cocoa.
many years ago, what feels like many years ago. So I know it's fine. And it's just, it's, urban riding, right? And so that's kind of the downside. But at the same time, also, it's, I think, a little easier and a little more direct before I get to the point where I'll make my decision whether I'm going to do a partial version of my ride in, which I've done before, or I'm going to do the full version, which would be to ride directly to where I'm staying. The challenge with that is that there is zero infrastructure for about, I would say, a mile. No sidewalk, no nothing, no shoulder, no nothing. And you cross a junction with one of the major roads within the Disney resort. So it's not great. It's possible though, and I think because the exposure is so minimal that, it could be fine. However, everything that I've heard, and I believe I talked about this on the week one or the day one, week one for you show, that the resort right now is packed to the gills. There are multiple things going on this weekend. There's the Pro Bowl is playing. The NFL Pro Bowl is here in Orlando. So lots of people are staying at the resort because they are going to the game, players included. There's a cheer competition. There is a major Olympic qualifying marathon. There's just a million things. And this used to be the time when you would go and the parks would be a little quieter because, hey, kids, you all should be in school, right? Yeah. So that's not happening anymore. So I don't know what the traffic's going to be like. So I'm going to be able to assess that for the first part of it when there is a little bit of infrastructure. You may recall that the beginning part of the ride is actually a little shoulderless. So I'm going to be making some assessments on safety when I get up there. And of course, you'll be along for the ride as well. That's kind of where I'm at the moment. I do feel like that it's kind of funny that I spend all this time planning and then in a matter of hours decide to chuck most of the route that I created so painstakingly over the winter, the fall, really, maybe even before then, from here to where I was going. But that's okay. I think that's actually a good thing. I've been talking about trying to be a little bit more, I don't know, of the moment or whatever. So yeah, we're going to go for it. All right. I am going to make some coffee because Lord, I need some coffee. And I am also going to eat a little something, start packing up. And then, I may be out of here extra early at this point because the sun is just coming up right now. It is 6:57 a.m. Yeah. So I could be out of here as early as 8, which is kind of what I wanted. And we'll just kind of see what time I get to the hotel. All right. Off we go.
We are rolling, maybe a little bit less than a mile away from the Airbnb. Lovely stay, lovely folks. It's 50 degrees out right now, and it feels a lot chillier than that. I dressed with fewer layers to start, and the old adage is it's better to start cold than to feel okay as you start, and that's certainly where I'm at right now. So I don't think I'll have to undo many layers when I'm done. Spend a little more time with my stuff repacking this morning. Probably could have been out of there a half hour earlier if I hadn't done that, but I think that this was the right call just because when I get to my hotel, it's real unlikely my room will be ready. So I've stacked things together so that I can do a quick clothes change so I'm not some absolute horrific mess. And I'm also going to end up, what's the word I'm looking for? Doing some laundry, perhaps, should that be possible. And the other thing that I could use is maybe a swimsuit. And is this a Walmart? No, it is a Home Depot. They will not have swimsuits. So I will not go there. Ah, but the Walmart is over there. Well, that's handy. I can grab something really quick and easy. And then I'll have the ability to hit the pool from Neptune Road. I am now on a road that I once was on earlier, back in the day. And it's got a nice wide bike path / sidewalk. I guess I can call this a multi-use path. It's got that vibe. It's very wide. I don't know if that was the intentional thing, although it did say bikes yield to peds. So yeah, we'll call this a multi-use path. I don't recall this from before, but again, that was years ago. I'd have to
go back and listen or check. But yeah, so Bart was highly successful in and out. Not so bad at 8:15 in the morning. And more cows. Boy, there are a lot of cows still this close to Orlando and whatnot, although they may consider St. Cloud to be out in the sticks, for all I know. But it is surprising how many cows I have seen on this trip. Despite the fact I knew I would see cows. All right, so let's see. We've got Neptune. It does some heavy lifting for a bit, and then we end up on that trail, which will be cool, although I would count this as a trail at this point too. And let's see, what else? Anything else of note? Still pretty chilly. We're warming up a little bit. The sun is out. Hey, today is supposed to be the warmest of all the days. And crossing here. One thing I remembered about going through St. Cloud before was, and I'm not going through the town this time, was there were like rumble strips like all over the place that were really frustrating. And almost as if to say, we don't want bikes here. And I wonder if that's because they wanted bikes on Neptune or something like that. I don't know. In any event, this is actually pretty good. I would say it's a pretty average surface, but it's very handy, and it gets you off of 192, which of course I'll still end up on for a while. I briefly considered just saying, screw it, I'm just going to go on 192 the whole way. But I thought, well, I did want to try out some of the bike infrastructure here in St. Cloud and Kissimmee, so why don't I do it? Found some of that I've done before, some of it maybe like this from when I last was in this area cycling. Okay, more to come on this kind of improvised adventure on day 4. So we're officially on the Bill Johnson Memorial Path, or Pathway. I crossed Neptune to the other side, and this must be an older version of it, and I'm starting to have a little bit of a recollection of this. It has so many root bulges, it's really bad. You have to go substantially slower just to not kind of rattle your kidneys out of your body. And then there are parts which are better than others. I think maybe I'm getting to a better part here. But yeah, it's fine. It's great. It's preferable to being on a shoulderless road, which is the alternative here. I do believe now that I was on the back in the day. It'll be interesting to compare it to a past ride. And if memory serves, when I was building the original route for today, this was going to be the path I took. And I think one of the reasons I took it was because I saw on Ride with GPS a heat map, and they have them in 2 different varieties. They have a kind of a reddish one for all bikers and a purplish one for your riding. And I believe that there was a purple heat map on this one. All right, one thing about these is, as you've probably just heard a couple times, the transitions are through gutters, which are a tooth rattler. So yeah, I've had really great biking infrastructure days 1 and 2, and today it's fine, it's good, it's here, but it's not great. Just the design is old school, and hey, here's your sidewalk, kid. Don't mess it up. So, but hey, it's getting me where I want to go, and in an area that has some pretty gnarly traffic if you're not careful. Speaking of traffic, I would say, for 8:41 a.m., it's a little heavier than I would expect for a Saturday morning. But, there's a lot of tourism that's going on. I already mentioned that there's a lot of things going on. So folks that live in the area, maybe going to their Saturday job, that may be why things are on the busy side, which would make a lot of sense around here. This is, so many people work not Monday through Friday in this area. They work a lot of weekends, because weekends are busy time in a tourist place like Central Florida. Okay, continuing on Neptune Road, continuing on I've already forgotten his name, Michael Johnston. I don't remember. I'm sure he did something good or tragic. Can't remember the name of it. From the same path. You want your drama? We got some drama, kids. My chain has slipped and jammed in a way that I have never experienced on this bike. And I cannot seem to free it with my fingers. So now I'm going to do something that's probably ill-advised, and that is to pry it out with some kind of a tool. We're gonna see how this goes. I'm on the path. It sounds like I'm in the middle of traffic, but I'm very much on the path. Yeah, it's a conundrum, because it's kind of like, what's the right tool for the job here? I don't want to screw up the chain, obviously. So we're going to do the dumbest thing and use the multi-tool. Just because I think I can grab at it where it needs to be grabbed. The problem is, I wish I could describe how warped this is, but boy, warped is the word. Glad this didn't happen yesterday. Holy crap, that would have been bad. It is really, I did a number on this. Right. I just kind of pried it out. I wish I could describe how it was, but it is bad. Maybe because this chain is dry AF. I did not lube it at all. So I'm going to do that now. Of course, this is a Turley hubbed setup. The chain still does need some lubrication. I don't know if that was the reasoning, but let's see here. It was when I was shifting from the low to high gears. Bromptons are weird. The internal hub is on the right side of my is the right shifter. And it happened when I went from the low to high gear, which is unfortunate, because if that's got a problem with it, it really limits me to effectively effectively 6, but no. Practically 6, effectively 3. All right, well, here's the deal. I hope this works. I think it will. If that was just kind of a one-time thing, just kind of bad happenstance, everything should be fine. If that shifter is a little borked, the thing that I was thinking of that I was worried about, as you were listening to silence, unless I edited that out, which I probably did, I am in range probably to get a ride to my hotel, which would be kind of an anticlimactic end of the tour, but you know, hey, sometimes these things happen. Again, I cannot emphasize how glad I am if there is a problem, an unresolvable problem, unrideable problem. I cannot emphasize enough how glad I am this happened today and not yesterday. Can you imagine, with 15 miles to go? Now, I mean, maybe some kind-hearted soul would have seen me walking and would have offered me a ride in the back of their pickup, but on a shoulderless road, that would have been no bueno. All right, folks, here goes nothing. I'm going to keep you on recording while I ride. We're shifting. All right, we just shifted back and forth in the low and the high, and I'm going to declare this victory. All right. Well, sometimes it's better to be lucky than be good. Is that how the line goes? All right, crossing Kings Highway. Still on Neptune Road. Beautiful Spanish moss. It has been the theme of this trip. I would not be surprised if Spanish moss is on many of the thumbnail designs for these episodes. Just stunning. I don't know why I never noticed it. Maybe I noticed it the first time, but just so ubiquitous on this trip. Every day has had some, except for immediately on the coast. But everywhere else, it's just been stunning, stunning. Let's go through a bit of a narrows here, and where two lakes kind of join up, and we go over on a, not a causeway, but a bridge, I guess. Bike update, fine. I mean, it's like, I don't know what happened, but I think my chain was finally telling me it was time for a little lubrication, and it did it in a spectacular way. So I do think everything's going to be good. More to come. And with that, crossing that causeway, what a beautiful sight here. Little mini park. A lot of folks are fishing off the docks, just kind of hanging out, bird watching and whatnot. Just a beautiful area. We are officially in Kissimmee, from Kissimmee, Florida. In the States, particularly on the East Coast, in the, I want to say in like the 80s and 90s, late 80s, early 90s, Kissimmee and St. Cloud were making a huge pitch to be the place where you should stay if you were doing theme parks or anything like that. And because they have a whole bunch of hotels on 192. Oh, I think I missed my turn, which I will rectify right now. Those hotels have all seen much better days. And I would say that with the rise of all the resorts building their own hotels, the hotel situation is not quite the same as it was. We are now in downtown Kissimmee. I just passed by the Sunrail station and the transit hub for this town. The Lynx bus is the service. If you're taking the bus, the Sunrail for the equivalent of rail. Not awesome. No disrespect to the folks that run it. They probably have really limited funds, but they are not don't do much around this direction except for some limited things. A lot of people do rely on them. They do go to Disney World, as I have tested back in the day. They are really slow and not super efficient for that. Probably by design, if I want to get all crazy about it. Oh, left turns. I was wondering why my crosswalk light wasn't working. So, Kissimmee's kind of got nice bones to it. A lot of lakes, and, you know, it's everything that I'm understanding about Kissimmee now. I got done talking about how they had marketed themselves as to be a tourist hub, come stay in our hotels, and that's fallen off, or at least it seems like it's fallen off. There's certainly the hotels are still here, and certainly serve a variety of people. But I've read that traffic has become a problem as the region has grown, that there are more desirable parts than others to live in, and it's a whole thing. Just like any of your, any other subreddit for your town, there's always complaints, right? But it sure looks pretty nice. Now here I am on a Saturday morning when there's virtually no traffic here on Neptune. But you know, it does seem pretty cool to me. I think, at least. I like coming down here in the winter. It is a nice space, nice temperatures to cycle in. Okay, clearly the bike's doing well. Hopefully I'm back on route. More to come. From, I think it's the Kissimmee Regional Airport. This is where your private jets will be coming in. There are two main airports for Orlando. There's, of course, MCO, the international airport. Then Sanford has become a little bit more of a commercial carrier, especially from tertiary cities. They're doing some interesting stuff with some other carriers, some smaller carriers. But this is the private jet airport, and I think I see some military equipment there as well. I've never been here. This is now a full multi-use path down this direction. Boy, there's some really good infrastructure here that I didn't realize was around. And it's certainly making this ride a lot easier than I was anticipating. Certainly was better than what I had before. I did not use this, if memory serves, back when I was riding the first year. But it might have been because I got a hotel on 192. That might have been the reason. It just didn't make any sense to come down here. But in any event, very cool, good infrastructure. still rolling along here. All is well. And it's only 9:39. All right, taking a half a moment of a break just to adjust my saddle. No, that's fine. All good. We're on the Shingle Creek Trail. Shingle Creek Regional Trail here. This is run by the city of Kissimmee. It connected with that trail that started kind of close to the airport. It's going through a mangrove swamp, which is very cool, on a raised boardwalk-y kind of thing. But this is slick as heck out in the rain, but it's dry now, so that's all good. Apparently it's gonna rain like crazy day after tomorrow, I think, sometime in the next few days. So once again, I catch perfect Florida weather for this trip. I'm never guaranteed it, but I have always managed to get it. And I would say these 4 days were about as good as I could ask for. Cool for the most part. Some, I guess the only thing I could ask for more would be totally cloudy days each time, but that's just not really how it works down here. If it's cloudy, it's gonna rain. Okay, I'm not gonna get on 192 here. I am going to continue on the trail. Regional Park here. Boy, the hidden stuff I have never seen. I probably passed right by here. This is 192 you're hearing in the background. Absolutely, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll have to check the map, the heat map, but I'm pretty sure I passed right over this, not realizing there was this wonderful little trail here. So this trail will bring me north and then back to the west again. And what's good about this is, despite the fact I do want to get to 192 at some point, what this does is it kind of winds me around a big jog that it does. So just avoiding some of the traffic and the noise. This has restrooms, and it wouldn't be a terrible time to consider that, but I'm not like in a desperate place, so I think I'll just keep going. I can always find a restroom at any point down the line here. This would be the type of trail that I would expect to be busy on a weekend, but it's early yet. We're just shy of 10 o'clock. But wow, I mean, it's funny what you don't realize exists in the midst of a really busy road. I mean, there's a mangrove swamp here to my left. We're within earshot of, one of the busiest roads in the entire region. Wild. I guess that's how it works sometimes. It's another bridge crossing here. And our old friend construction in Central Florida, more housing here to my right. It's convenient to this trail, I suppose. So that's good. I don't know if people will eschew their cars and use bikes. As you all know, you could certainly get around Central Florida by bike. Whether it's a great commuting option for you, I'm not sure, but not during the summer for sure. So during these cooler seasons, I certainly would do it if I could. All right, well, that's about all I got for this moment, and you can hear the wind is picking up, so I'll let you go for a moment. Well, after some really interesting winding around and some newish housing developments, all gated communities, but the roads were public surrounding them. Here I am back at 192. I cut off a huge chunk of it, which is just fantastic. Now, I do have to go under Route 535, but there's a good set of sidewalks from here on that'll get me roughly to where I need to go. I think I will have to cross over perhaps at one point, but hopefully not. If I can stay on this side, then I've even avoided the kind of rougher transition of the entire route, I would say, here. So yeah, I'm seeing my first signs for Disney World even, and the town of Celebration, a formerly Disney-owned or Disney-developed place. I got the lights. Off I go. Yeah, bike is performing excellently, and we're now on a familiar crosswalk. Sidewalk. They're kind of a reddish hue, almost kind of that southwest red. I don't know if that sure was by design, but nice wide sidewalks. This is, as I mentioned before, a very busy thoroughfare here. And it's just wild how quiet it was not very far from here. Really enjoyed that route. I'm glad I took it. Now, believe it or not, of course, I've done this enough times that I can almost do this from memory. I'm basically heading to Avalon Road, which is a few miles. I don't even know how many miles down this is. I'm sure it's a ways. But my next big thing is to get under 535, and then it's just sort of a straight shot from there. This is, the big box stores, Disney gifts, unaffiliated with Walt Disney World, stuff like that. Is it picturesque? Heck no. But it is infrastructure-wise not so terrible. I do have to keep the head on the swivel as I cross the major intersections here. There are kind of yield spots, but I don't expect it. At least I won't, because that's a disaster situation potentially. I will definitely be using the signals when I've got them. So, here we go. Working my way down 192. They have like markers that I think they must be mile markers. I'm about to go by, what do they call it? Zones? Area. Hold on, I'm getting closer. It's number 10. I can see that. Can't remember what they call it. They use these for, giving people rough approximations to the variety of different shops that are around here. I'm going through a lesser section right now with some thrift stores and dollar stores and stuff like that. We're marker 10. They call them markers. I've been by Orange World. I've been by this big gift shop that has a wizard on it. The usual good stuff. Yeah, this has definitely seen some better days. It was definitely a bigger deal. It has a dated vibe to it. The teal and purple. It feels very 90s, quite frankly, and they've not really updated that look. So it's got that kind of old and busted vibe. But memories, memories for sure. I think I've mentioned this. I used to date somebody who worked down here, and I came down here quite a bit over the years. And before she even worked down here, we met in college, and so came down here for my first time as an adult, and back in the early 90s, I would say. Yeah, and so yeah, the 90s vibes bring back some memories. That's for sure. That is for sure. All right, I'm not tired at all. I've gone probably close to 20 miles at this point. I probably should take a break. It's been very easy riding, certainly compared to yesterday, good Lord. But I think I need to find something that suitably interests me. I do know that once I turn off a 192, things get very quiet, very in a hurry. There's really no good place to stop for snack, drink, break, whatever, until I get to my resort, or until I get to the resort that I choose to stop at. As I mentioned at the top of this episode, I see Golden Arches up there, although that doesn't normally get me excited. A nice coffee and maybe one of their egg wraps sounds pretty good, so maybe that's where I'll go. Some place where it's easy, and perhaps I can even sit outside for a little bit, enjoy the nice weather while I still got it for the next couple of days. But this is, of course, my last biking day here on day 4. All right, we shall see where I stop. It does look like there's a bunch up here, so probably we'll take a quick break in a bit. Break over, iced coffee, A+. That should do it for food that I need. I have no snacks on me, don't need them. I think I'm good for the remainder here. I have a bottle of water. It's a nice cool day. The riding is pretty chill. So I'm feeling pretty good about things right now. Ask me in a little bit if I feel like I've made my mistake. But that extra caffeine should do it. I feel like I've got, if I ride the whole way, maybe 2 hours of riding. And that's good question. But going under 417, which is the first of the major roads that I'm going under. So the gift shops and the fast food and the hotels still continue for probably another 8 miles or so, maybe even a little less, because if memory serves, when I get to Avalon Road, which may sound familiar to you if you've listened to past ones of these, that is where I make my turn. Avalon's got no shoulder, but it's not bad. No worse than anything else I've ridden. Certainly no worse than Nova Road, and that's a lot slower than that. Beyond that, figure that takes me an hour or less to get to, depending on how fast these sidewalks are, which at this point they're pretty fast. So then I get up to an interesting spot, which I'll preview here. You may recall, for those of you who have been with me on 2 of the occasions making this approach, that the first time I went through, it was clear that they're putting in a development, and the road kind of had a big pile of dirt in the middle, and I had to push over it, and it was fine. Then the second time I went, it was clear they were putting in a gate, and it still went, and I was able to go through, and it was fine. If I can, nope, not gonna make this one. Now there's a new version of the road, so I'll have to go a little bit further north to be able to make that cut over. And then I'm at Western Way, which is the entrance right in. So then I'll make some decision from that point, depending on what the traffic's like. Right now, the traffic is very chill, at least around here. So if the parks are busy, which I expect they will be, it may be busy traffic, or everybody may be in the parks already. So I'll make the assessment when I'm there, whether I've got to end the ride there and get a lift, or if I've got to make a push and try to get to one of the resorts that's closer, stop there and get a lift, or if I'm just going to push forward and go for it. There's going to be a lot of choices all made kind of in a short period of time. By the way, over on my left is the town of Celebration. I'd mentioned it earlier. It's a nice little town, and it's a little, how do I put it? It's a very planned community, and so it's great in terms of very walkable, very bikeable. All of that stuff is really good, but it also is very homogenous. It's kind of like what you would expect from a formerly Disney, partially owned or developed town. It looks lovely, but it's not for everybody, that's for sure. Its proximity to Disney World is a big plus. A lot of people like the planned community element of it. Of course, I just went through a whole bunch of places that were gated communities, which are definitely not my cup of tea, but I know some people like them. Oh, and here I get to go. Isn't that nice? Somebody actually yielded to me. Even better. All right. So anyway, Celebration. Seems nice. I love the walkable, bikeable. May not be for everyone. And that's it. Okay, we're gonna keep rolling. I think the next you'll hear from me, barring any craziness, is once we get around the turn to Avalon Road. Should be in a bit. All right, that was an adventure. Do not do what I just did. 192 and all the sidewalks end at one point. And 192 crosses I-4, and it's an overpass. So you have to dodge an on-ramp, and then you think you're done, but on the other side of it is one of the main entrances to actually where I'd like to be going, but the roads there are just shoulderless and dangerous. But I had to cross 2 or 3 lanes of traffic to get over. Luckily, it wasn't trafficked very bad, and it was quote easy, but holy smokes, folks, do not repeat the route that I just did. Do not recommend it at all. 192 is definitely the most direct way, but if you're coming back from that side of I-4, that ain't safe. Not recommended. Now that I've done that, though, makes me think, the other stuff's all easy. The stuff that I formerly thought wasn't terrifically safe. But then again, do I want to? I mean, it's a numbers game, y'all. At some point, something's not going to work out. So yeah, I'll have to make my decision based on traffic. The traffic there was not bad, I will say. We'll have to see, but yes, I'm going to repeat myself one more time. If you were starting from the east side of I-4 on 192, do not take 192. There are other ways around. My original route was the original route for a reason I'm now remembering. Looking on Google Maps, seeing that. This is why when you plan for a reason. Oh, Lord. Okay, we still got about 5 miles to go. And it's much safer here. All right, so we're on Avalon. Traffic is busy-ish, I would say. The place that had the massive flood of water, the apartment complex is done. It's called the Pros. The road that used to have a different name is now called Lake Gifford Way. I'm not going to go down there because I believe it's gated. And I'm going to go up one more road to what I perceive, and Google Maps has suggested, is now the open version of the road that used to be there. And it's got the same name, except it's new, whatever the name of it is. So we'll see. I'll take you along on the ride for that. If that does not seem to be an option, I also know that I can just continue north here on Avalon, and the traffic has really died down, so it's fine. There's no shoulder, but it's fine. I can go all the way to Western, which would also work. Beautiful lake through Ramones. Have a generous 6-inch shoulder now. I've actually never ridden the road up this far. I always have turned on that road, but I always knew that this was going to happen at some point. The nice thing is that assuming this road exists, and is fully built in, which I think it is by now, that keeps this route open. Although I suppose Western always would keep it open too, because they'll never close Western, and I will be on that in a bit. Just judging by the traffic right now, this may be cast member traffic or guest traffic, but probably cast member traffic. It's busy. So I am starting to turn on my desire to ride all the way in. But boy, that would be a lot easier, because otherwise I gotta unpack everything, fold up the bike. Just would rather ride, but let's see what Western looks like. There's a few spots where I can make calls, but would be very happy to be on this road coming up. It does look like it's open, because I believe it has beautiful bike lanes all the way down it. And I'm in a turn lane. It's wild how much empty land there is this close to the resorts. My understanding is that the Walt Disney Company owns a good chunk of all this. Probably not these lands. But anyways, Hartzog Road. Oh, okay, interesting. It had been called New Hartzog Road. But now I think because they renamed the other road, this one could now be Hartzog Road again. So what is old is new again. Or new is old again. What is new is old again. Oh good, my old friend the headwind. 40-mile-per-hour road, but there's a sidewalk and a generous shoulder. More than I need. Both are great. I will take the generous shoulder. And I will let you go because this headwind probably doesn't sound so hot for you. Sorry for the rain. Stop me if you've heard this before. Wow, they're really building a lot of homes around here. Like townhomes, apartments. It is wild. 55 plus senior communities. That's the one that I've been dodging for the last few years. I'm now going around it the other way. But on this road, it's wild. Just wild how much development is happening here. Perfect if you work at Disney World or if you just want to go every day or something. Holy moly. But yeah, a lot of development here. A lot of development. People must like it or something. So I am winding my way around. This should spit me out where the cast member residents or the Disney College Program residents are. And then it's Western Way. And then I have my first decision. So we'll take a look at the traffic. There's a couple of entrance ramps and exit ramps that spit out onto Western, as you may recall. It's not that bad. Certainly not any worse than what I did before. But if it looks busy, then I'm just going to skip it. I've got a few opportunities. I can either ride to a variety of different places and then get a lift, or I can just kind of go for it. And there's actually one other bailout point at another resort that is right when things get dicey, or right before things get dicey. And I can choose to bail out there too. Or I can just go for it and end up riding the whole way. I would love to ride the whole way, but after today's earlier not recommended. Cannot underscore how much I do not recommend what I did earlier today. By the way, for those of you who are like, Tim, you gotta go with your gut sometimes. You just gotta do it. There's exhibit A of why I don't do it. Because sometimes I get into pickles that I can't turn myself around from. Okay, so enough of that. We are just about to, let's see, it looks like a Holiday Inn Express, which means, yeah, this is up right past, if memory serves, that Disney College Program residences. So yeah, we are right here at the entrance, close to the entrance here, which is kind of fun and exciting, which also means it's sad because we're only a few miles away from the end of this trip and this tour, which has been, let's be honest, pretty delightful. Today was probably the most drama-filled, but yesterday was probably the toughest. It certainly was the longest with the headwinds and all that, but largely successful so far. So let's see how it goes. We'll check in some more on Western Way, I suspect. All right, from Western Ways, we are inside Disney World Resort property on the very wide shoulder that is this part of Western Way. Traffic is not bad. I'll be honest, I didn't have to stop once in any of the zones that I had before. So despite it feeling a little thick on this part, it's not that bad. Now, this is starting to make me rethink the full ride, but well, then there are big gaps, so who knows? We will see how it goes. I got about a mile or so until next decision point. Well, I might have made a mistake. I have tried to make sure that I don't enter places that I'm not supposed to. I might have come in a way I wasn't supposed to. So, we'll see. There's gates, unfortunately, that I keep running into. Will this gate work for me? Let's see. It is not. Yeah, I just don't want to get in trouble because I have said before, you can make mistakes that get you kicked off Disney property, and that is not my intention nor my wish. But all of that said, I think I'm on the correct side now. Okay. Yeah. There are cameras everywhere. They definitely saw me do that. I hope there are not bad consequences for that. However, I have arrived at a different destination than normal. I am at the Coronado Springs Resort. This is where there are a lot of conventions, and that's probably the least Disney of the Disney resorts, with possible exception of the one I'm staying at, the Swan and Dolphin resorts, which are technically not owned by Disney. Now, the interesting thing about this is this cuts off a whole chunk of traffic such that it could be possible for me to continue on. But the reason why I took this shortcut into here is that I wanted to bike to a different resort, and I have. And now I think I'm going to cash out, meaning I think we're done. I'm going to go to the resort area here. I'm going to peek around. I'm not going to press my luck here. Hello? I'm checking into the Dolphin today, and I needed to get a lift. Can I just park up here and call a lift from here to take me there? Okay. Great, thank you. And there we are. Coronado Springs. We're going to park here. And that's that. You can hear the waterfalls in the background here. I am right in front of the main tower here, and that's gonna be a wrap for this adventure. Always fun to do something a little bit different. So far, no mouse-eared security agents coming to beat me with batons, so that's good. So probably not the right way to enter the place, but they did not, so far, have a problem with me. Okay, I'm gonna stay right here. I am going to get the bags off my bike. I'm gonna fold it, and then I'm gonna call a lift. and then we'll go to my other resort. Folks, what a fun adventure. Glad I was able to bring you along for the ride. 4 days of fun riding. Today's final bit you'll hear in statistics. But almost exactly what I was originally going to be planning on doing. How about that? Addendum. Day 5. Not a biking day. It's raining. Yeah, once again, I dodged the weather. It wouldn't have been that bad, but I dodged it. More good luck on my Florida tours. The headwinds and the brief mechanical notwithstanding, because it's raining, and I'm not biking today.
Statistics. Miles biked 34.8. Terrible route change ideas 1. My goodness. Creams in my iced coffee 2. I did that before the terrible route change, I just realized. 55 plus aged resorts biked by 3. Probably more. I have no idea. Chain jams 1. Chain jams fixed 1. Flats 0.
And as always, we like to close out the show with a special shout out to the Pedal Shift Society. Because of support from listeners like you, Pedal Shift is a weekly bicycle touring podcast with a global community. Expanding into live shows and covering new tours, if you like what you hear, you can support the show for $5, $2, or even $1 a month. And there's one shot and annual options if you're not into the small monthly thing. Check it all out at pedalshift.net/society. On to the society. Kimberly Wilson, Caleb Jenkinson, Cameron Lean, Andrew McGregor, Michael Hart, Keith Nagel, Brock Dittus, Thomas Skadow, Marco Lowe, Terrence Manson, Harry Telgadis, Chris Barron, Mark Van Ram, Brad Hipwell, Mr. T, Nathan Poulton, Stephen Dickerson, Vince LaGreco, Cody Florchinger, Tom Beninati, Greg Braithwaite, Sandy Pizzio, Jeff Muster, Seth Pollock, Joseph Quinn, Drew Porter, Byron Patterson, Joaquin Robber, Ray Jackson, Jeff Fry, Kenny Mikey, Lisa Hart, John Denkler, Steve Hankel, Miguel Quinones, Alejandro Aviles Reyes, Keith Spangler, Greg Towner, Jody Zaranin, Lucas Barwick, Michael Baker, Brian Bechtal, Reinhard Bigel, Greg Middlemiss, Connie Moore, William Gothman, Brian Benton, Joan Churchill, Mike Bender, Rick Weinberg, Billy Crafton, Gary Matushak, Greg Latoile Lopez, James Sloan, Jonathan Dillard, John Funk, Ronald Paroli, Dave Roll, Brian Hafner, Misha LeBlanc, Ari Messenger, David Grotke, Todd Grossbeck, Wally Estrella, Sue Reinert, John Lico, Stephen Granada, Philip Mueller, Robert Lackey, Dominic Carroll, Jackie McCullum, John Hickman, Carl Presseau, David Neves, Patty Louise, Terry Fitzgerald, Peter Steinmetz, Timothy Fitzpatrick, Michael Lazuski, Hank O'Donnell, David Zanoni, David Weil, Matthew Sponsella, Chad Reno, Spartan Dale, Carolyn Ferguson, Peggy Littlefield, Lauren Allensmith, Eric Burns, Thomas Pearl, Darren McKibben, Richard Stewart, Dave Fletcher, Jack Smith, Luke Parkinson, Ryan Patterson, Cyrus Faravar, John Gardner, Sam Scruggs, Dwight Pintinger, Connie Bowder, Rob Merrifield, and thanks to all past and anonymous folks for helping make this show happen.
Thank you for joining. You can find Pedal Shift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedal Shift project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.